you are in this world of leadership. And we love leadership because leadership is one of those things that teaches us how to be resilient because we come out of challenge. We learn how to troubleshoot. And in your expertise, what do you feel is the quality that maybe gets overlooked in someone that they might not feel is their top quality, but that is so needed for leadership? Maybe something that someone's hiding behind, but they're like, no, this is a really good trait for me to put forward. What do you think that would be?
Well, first of all, 100% of the human population is a leader because, at the end of the day, if you influence somebody to try an ice cream flavor, you led them to make that decision, right? So leadership is for everybody, and I would think that everybody should just kind of embrace the role. It's for me, I don't like being things out of my control. So, if something's wrong, I want to fix it, and I want to fix it as fast as possible. And if I have to lean on somebody else to do that, it's I've given up the responsibility to be able to fix it. So in anything that goes wrong in my life, it's my fault. And that's the only way that I can make sure that it gets fixed.
I love that. That goes into our whole, I am 100% responsible 100% of the time. So there's just nothing that we can blame anything on. And we can look at ourselves and say, hey, what do I need to do to make this better? And then that lets the collective sort of come together as well. I love that.
It was we were talking to Ethan's baseball team this past weekend, and basically the moral of the story, they had a rough couple games, and it was like, look, man, when nobody steps up and leads, the whole team takes a step back.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm. ChatGPT is really good if you need it.
My favorite.
I love ChatGPT.
My favorites is watching you on social, and you're like, guest speaking to a group of and I can tell it's like a baseball team or something, right? And you start getting fired up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've seen that millions of times in my career. And I don't know. I get fired up just watching you. It's just like you just leading the huddle back at Tribeca or something. You know what I mean? Like bringing in guys or, I mean, it's pretty. Yeah. I mean, you think your baseball background has helped you in your career now?
No doubt. First of all, life's a team sport. So everybody that is successful to any real degree, they have somebody that supported them, whether it's mom, wife, spouse, sister, brother, best friend. If you can't get support at home, I don't think you're going to get support out in the world without support at home first. So baseball and sports, it was about the team, and something unique about teammates. Friends can come and go, but a teammate is forever, man. Like you mentioned, Luke Lambeau. Dude, I haven't talked to that guy in 15 years. We just reconnected on social a month ago.
That's awesome.
Ironically, and I have no idea what he's doing. He looks fantastic. But if I talked to him today, it would be like we never stopped talking. It would be like time stood still. That's what teammates do. And when it comes to sports, you want that culture in your workplace, because in sports, especially baseball, you go out there and you bleed together every day. And the coolest thing about baseball too, that I love is here in Tennessee, it gets kind of hot in the summertime, right? I like it. The kids that have a tough time with that, I'm like, well, hold on a minute. You live in Nashville, Tennessee, and you want to play baseball. So you're going to play it in July. So if you don't like the heat, pick another sport or move, right? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But when you go out there and you learn to fight for each other, and you learn that there's individual accolades that lead to the team accomplishments, if you can apply that in the workforce, you can be very successful.
That's absolutely true. I love what team sports teaches us and how we can carry these lessons throughout life, really, because the social interaction, the connectivity, the troubleshooting, the resilience, the challenge, right? It really does build us into who we are and who we can become. And taking all of those lessons in, right? I'm sure that is, as Cliff was saying, it put you on your career path in a different way. You could look at things differently. And so in serving you in that way, as you are, compiling these companies, putting them out there, creating your business and creating your podcast, what was the precipice of your why in going down your path, and how did that lead you into where you are right now?
even as a baseball player, there was again, I had support at home. I had Cliffy, had my family. I had people that Cliffy called that believed in me, that made things happen. Like, having, when you have people that believe in you like that, even though they did, I wasn't mature. I didn't understand that it was a business. I learned later in life that, like, goal setting, those words get misused a lot. A goal is a target with a deadline. At the end of the day, when it came to baseball, I dreamed of playing professional ball, and that's what I did. What if I had dreamed of catching at Yankee Stadium? Would it have been a different outcome? But because a different target, it's a different route. Just like it, if you type in Nashville, Tennessee on your GPS, I don't really know exactly where it's going to take you, but if you give it a specific address, it'll tell you all the routes you can take to get there, how long it's going to take, and everything that might be in the way or come up along the way. So when I was young, I just wanted to play pro ball. That was the destination. And then once I got there, my dream never evolved any further. So I kind of got stuck. That's where I spent 5 or 6 years. And then it took me 10 years of after baseball to figure out who the heck I am and what I do here, because for my entire life, it was when to be at the cages, when to be on the field, when to be in class. And all of a sudden, I can't make any money doing that, and I don't know what else to do. And it took me a really long time to figure out who the hell I was, what that meant in this world, what value I brought to the world, and more importantly, how to turn it into money.
That happens to a lot. That happens to a lot of players. I mean, that's a common thing. Because once you're done with the game that you put so much time and effort into, former players don't know what to do themselves, right? I mean, like, some kids, they have if you draft a high school kid, they usually have like a college scholarship attached to it. So once they're released and they're done playing, they can go back to school and kind of figure that crap out. It's the ones that, finished college and now they're in pro ball. This is all they've ever done. And it's like, dude, the game, doesn't need you anymore. It's time to walk away. And you look at yourself like, all right, do I do lessons? Am I going to be a little league coach? Am I going to be a high school coach? How do I get into it? If I want to be a Division I, coach, is it professional baseball? I mean, like, it's a hard path. And then it takes a lot to say, hey, let me reset and pivot here and try to figure out what a true path of making money, because there's like you said, dude, I mean, 5 or 6 years, man, there's just no money in it, and it's like, you're just happy to be on a professional team eating peanut butter and jellies. And they're like, dude, these are the best PB&Js I've ever had in my life, man,
Yep.
Because you're playing, your passion,
I get that.
And you just kind of think it's you just kind of accept that is the path. The crazy thing is, you got those, like, I'm going to use Wally Bachman. A lot of people know who he is because he's been an internet sensation forever in the world of baseball. And I don't know Wally, and I'm not saying anything ugly about Wally. However, Wally would be considered a baseball lifer in the world of baseball. He's never probably made $1 million doing what he's doing, but he's a legend in the game nonetheless, and he's made a great impact. So there's lots of ways to make an impact in life and in the workplace. But Wally's never, like, I think there's a next level of evolution of baseball coach. As a guy that coaches my son's team and a guy that hires coaches to help me coach my son's team and other things like that. As a dad, you start to, like, when we work with these baseball coaches, they're there to teach them the game, but they're also there to be a little bit of a role model. And, like, how many baseball coaches are actually winning in life? How many of them are not broke as shit?
True.
Right. So how good of a role model are you? You know what I mean? And I think there's another level of baseball coaches, because, like, look, man, if you can't, like, you make money based on the value that you bring. And if the baseball coaches could understand that, if you could express how the return on investment is for these parents' kids, like, now all of a sudden you're going to sign a dollar amount to it and you could make a living, but they don't do that. They're just really, really good at the game, but not the life outside the game. And I think there's another level of baseball coach coming down the line.
For sure. I mean, like back in the day, it was like, you're really good at, coaching baseball, but you needed a partner who was a business guy, because otherwise, if you had that business guy partner, I mean, the baseball coach business guy would just like not make a lot of money, then you see that a lot in like, some of these powerhouse travel, like throughout the country. I mean, it's just like, yeah, that guy owns it, but like that guy over there who you never heard of is like the reason why they're having success.
They travel baseball's a $1 billion industry, and it's like, well, how come the coaches can't get paid then? Where's the money stop? Where's the money going? Where's it all going? And why haven't they figured out how to tweak the model to get better role models for these people? Because like you can go on TikTok right now and look at umpires that wear the body cams and stuff, and they just getting cussed out and their butts kicked by dads and coaches in these summer things. And it's like, bro, like, man, it's like, if this is all you got to look forward to in life, man, like something's wrong. Like this, think about what's happening right now.
Nick, how did you figure it out then? So what was the path of figuring out how are we making money? Where are we going to go with this?
It was just putting my head down. First of all, everybody has what my buddy Nick Alfano calls the man in the mirror moment, where you look in the mirror and you're like, all right, this ain't who I'm supposed to be. I got to change. It took me a long time. I can even remember, coming home and sitting in church and just watching people do stuff on the stage. And I kept thinking, why, I should be up there. But it was almost like I was just waiting on them to come get me and walk me up there and say, here it is. I didn't realize I had to go out and prove it. Didn't realize I had to go out and take it if I wanted it, or, show enough value and be like, look, I can do that. I should be doing this. And here's why. It took me a long time, but in 2015, it was like, this is 2015 was rock bottom, or just prior to that. And, I had a young boy at home that I was not a good role model for. Had a girl at home I couldn't afford to marry. And, finally you just have that man in the mirror moment where you're like, today things change. And I changed everything about myself physically, because I'm like, I kept going in and looking and seeing the same failure in the mirror I saw every day. So I was like, if I can't give my own self a reason to look at me differently, why can I expect everybody else to see me differently too? Right. So I changed everything. Cliffy knows me from a long time ago, and everything that I look like today is the polar opposite of what I grew up with. Everything is different.
Love the man in the mirror moment, right? It's that come to reality, come to Jesus of, you're right, if I'm not going to do it, who is? And I think we all have this time in our life where we're kind of waiting for maybe the handout, or like, oh, I should be up there, but I'm waiting for this. And it's like, no, it's really up to me to make the choice and make the action to move forward. And it's that one small action that leads to the ripple effect of everything else. And now look at where we are. But we have to face ourselves. And I think that's a hard thing to do. It's really hard to look at ourselves and say, yep, let's go. It's on me.
Well, it's, the other thing baseball teaches you is, if you're successful at the highest level 30% of the time, you're the highest paid person on earth in the game. And, when most people just quit before they get to the prize, right? So, everything that I tried, I definitely didn't get it right the first time. As a matter of fact, what we're doing in digital marketing and social media right now is about 5 years and $1 million that it took to figure out what we know that we're now doing and executing and working with. I think that one of the biggest things that people that they underestimate is the return on investment. And one of the things I get asked about a lot is, I got a 15-year-old said, actually, he just turned 16. Is college for him? I'm like, all right, well, remove education out of the picture. 4 years and X amount of dollars. What's the return on investment? And that's your answer, right? So just remove education out of it. 4 years and return on investment. I interviewed at least 1,500 college graduates over about 5 years for jobs. And less than a fraction of a percent, they would tell me all the things that they studied in school and everything else. And I would say, great. How do you make money doing that? And they did not have an answer. So I have great camera guys and skilled technicians that are still in school or master's programs. And I ask them all the time, what have you learned lately? And how do you make money doing that? They don't know the answer. The application is crazy. When we go to church on Sundays, I really struggle with going to church sometimes, because I see all these people that I know and love and care about, and they go there every Sunday and their life doesn't change. They don't move forward. It just becomes what they do on Sunday. Right. And like, so when we get in the car after church, I ask my wife and my son, what'd you guys get out of the message? The most common response is they tell me what the pastor said. And I'm like, I didn't ask what he said. I asked what you got out of the message and how you're going to use it. And you apply that immediately. That's the thing. Like, people don't apply the lessons that they learn all the time. So that's why, history is always viewed with the 2020 lens, right? But you got to use it. If you don't use what you learned and apply it, that's, again, another thing great with baseball. I get up there, pitcher makes me look foolish. I learned something. If I use it next time, he's going to try it again and I get him.